to start recording, which it has. So welcome to this first prep user group of 2024. It's great to see you all joining here. My name is Jenny Martin. I'm joining from the UK today. It's very rainy and dark, so I hope the weather's better where you are. But good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all of those to everyone joining. So today we are here for this user group, and I just wanted to remind you who our leaders are of the Tableau Prep user group, hopefully with some familiar faces to you if you've joined before. If it's your first time here, do let us know that in the chat as well. I'll be kind of your main host for today, but we've also got Jack here as well, and then our other host of the Tableau Prep user groups is Jared Flores. I'm sure you may recognize some of his prep work, but hi David, for the first time joining. Thanks for letting us know. You're very welcome here. So I'll just go through a few of the kind of preliminary bits before we get to our speakers. Lewis and Zack, very excited to hear your talks today. If you would like to present in the future, then this would be the link to go to. I will drop it in the chat once I've finished talking. I'm not going to multitask just for the moment. That would have been a good thing to have had pre-prepared, but we'd love to have people who haven't presented before coming around and presenting at this user group. I'm excited to hear from our new presenters to the user group this week, today, you know what I mean. And if you want to get in touch and chat about prep with other people who are using the tool, get help, talk to the devs who are developing the tool, etc. and so forth, then this would be the link to go to. We have a Slack channel called Prep Playground, just so that we can all connect there, and it's the best way to kind of stay in the loop with everything that's kind of going on. Cool. In terms of Tableau general announcements, I'm sure that you're all familiar with Tableau Conference and how it's coming up at the end of April. I saw that there were quite a few people joining from California, so hopefully that's just a road trip away for you and that you're able to attend. I myself will be there, so it'll be great to connect with as many of you as possible and talk about all things Tableau Prep. And if you did need to have the link to register, I will drop that as well in the chat later. There is also the QR code though there, that's what I meant to say. But it'll be a great time basically to get together with like-minded individuals and share that excitement about the product. Speaking of excitement about the product, did anyone notice that 2024.1 was released yesterday? So I kind of had this in here as like upcoming features, and now they are released. We have them to play with. I designed a very, very quick demo about 15 minutes before we started. So I will show you those new features that we have in real life. But as a high-level overview, we have the ability now to identify duplicate rows, which is super useful. Nobody wants rows that are completely identical. Well, of course, it always depends with data, but in general, we don't want those duplicates. We kind of want to flag them, maybe filter them out, that sort of thing. So that's a really useful new feature that we've got to work with there. And then we've also got a new feature for Excel files so that we can choose where our data starts from. So we already kind of have that for CSVs, and now we've got a very similar interface for Excel files. So that's also super useful for when the data interpreter isn't quite working for us. So in terms of my super quick demo, then we're going to work with this data set. I was very creative in the moments before this meeting, but we have a data set here. We can see that it doesn't quite start from the top of the Excel table. We've got some IDs, we've got some names, maybe some duplication in that data. So if we pop it into Tableau Prep, then this is the input step and how that looks, which is already looking a little bit different to how we might usually see an input step. So we've kind of got the data table there, a data preview that we wouldn't normally see. Normally we just see the metadata, say the column headers and a few preview values, whereas now we're seeing a few rows of data in that preview as well. We can always switch back to our field list. Oh, sorry, my cat's come to join the demo. So that goes back to how we're more used to seeing it. But if we keep on that data preview kind of side, then we can see how that's going to react if I zoom out again. If we change it from the header options of automatic, if we change that to be set header instead, then we can play around with these options here for our start row. So instead of it starting on row 1, let's make it start on row 3. Not quite. Our header row, sorry, I thought I would click twice, only once. There we go. So our headers are found in row 3. Our data is now starting on row 4. And we have our table nice and cleaned up and ready to work with there. So that's the kind of input step new feature that we have there. And then in terms of the duplicate rows, that's found in our clean step. And it's just kind of sitting at the top here in the banner. So maybe something you might overlook if you're used to kind of just coming into Tableau Prep and doing your usual thing, but that's where that option lives. We literally just hit the button and it's done. It will tell us which one are duplicates. So this one row here that we have where the ID is 3 and the name is Jared is going to be our duplicate. And we can take a peek at the calculation if we like and kind of see how that is being written and even tweak it if we don't want it to be looking at all the fields and identifying those duplicates from all the field names. We can kind of get rid of, say, the name, for example, and get it to only identify duplicates based on the ID. And then update that so that now we would have 3 duplicates because we've got those 1, 2, 3 repeating twice there. So definitely a useful feature. Can't wait to write some prepping data challenges to include that. But hopefully that's whet your appetite for our speakers who will be coming up now. Interesting, that just displayed. But we have 2 amazing speakers for you. We have Lewis Yu, who's going to be talking all about XML files in prep, which I'm really looking forward to. I can imagine we're going to need some kind of string calcs coming in there to unpick all of that. And then we've got a great talk coming up from Zack as well on those Tableau prep essentials. So hopefully something for all levels there. So I'll hand over to you, Lewis.
Right. Thanks, Jenny. Hi, everyone. Let me just start my sharing. Right. Hopefully, everyone can see my screen.
Yep, all looks good.
Cool. All right. So, hi, I'm Lewis. This is the official corporate introduction. So, I'm a Tableau ambassador. I had 4 Viz of the day. I'm a co-lead for Games Like Viz, together with Will Sutton and Tina Covelli. And I'm a co-lead for the Singapore Tableau user group, together with Phyllis and Aloysius as well. But these are all just titles, and I don't really want people to remember me for this. So this is a more fun version. So I'm Lewis. I'm a data storyteller who loves Marvel, coffee, video games, and visual design. So the image over here is actually from ChatGPT. I told them to create a logo that combines superheroes, coffee, and data visualization. And this is what it came out with, which isn't too bad. Kind of captures the essence of it. All right. So today I'm going to talk through on one of the visits that I did early part of this year, which is a fitness journey that I kind of did to kind of understand how far I've come and what are the positive and negative parts of the fitness journey. So it was really kind of enlightening because I realized through my journey I had a lot of failures where I thought that I was doing well, but my weight just keep going back up and all. But it was really interesting because after I kind of got, because that's what you do with data as well, because you understand your data and you start to make small steps and small changes to your lifestyle, and the efforts kind of stay. And I guess for anyone who is thinking of starting your fitness journey, because it's the start of the year and everyone has their New Year resolution and stuff like that, my advice is start small. Yeah, don't go on crash diets and starve yourself over trying to lose weight. Just go for longer walks each day, take the stairs instead of the lift, and just eat healthy a little bit. So in order for me to kind of do this visualization, I have to collect data, right? For some of you, I mean, not everyone owns a smartwatch, but if you want, easier way is to just kind of have a Google sheet or an Excel sheet where you just track each of the different things once a month. It doesn't have to be like on a daily basis, whichever works for you. Right? If you want to do it like once every 3 months, it's also fine. But this is how you could potentially start off the journey. For me, however, I own a Apple iWatch, and thankfully, the iWatch collects data on me, even though I didn't realize it. So when I'm sleeping, as long as I have it on me, it is constantly collecting information about me. All right. So how would you kind of extract that data from the iWatch? It's not really in your face because Apple doesn't really want you to do that. But you can go to the health app, and then under your profile pic, you can actually click on export all data. All right. What this does, it would pop up a message for you to kind of choose where you want to export the data to. So it could be a Google Drive, it could be your files, it could be a Dropbox or whatnot. And the file that comes out from there is a XML file, right? So for those that are not too familiar with XML, XML file is something like that. It is a structured data set that kind of looks like website design. All right, so you have like fields and in pairs. So you have like the field name and the field value, followed by a space, and then a field name and a field value. But the problem with the Apple iWatch data is that the XML contains multiple different variants of the data. So it's not exactly the easiest to work with. All right. So we have things like metadata that exists at the top of the file, which contains information of the matrix. So you look at here, you have your heart rate variability that has like the different matrix types. So you have the type, unit, value, source name, blah, blah, blah. And this gets repeated for every other measure or body measure that they are doing. They also have some fields that have, or some rows that have the header and category sequentially, and also some data that has health states. So health states are, if you can look at here, you have a value of 0, and some of the rows will have a value of 1. So this is a Boolean value. So it's either a 1 or a 0, whether I had a motion in that minute or that hour, I think. And also, you have data that have variability even within the same type. So this is the same record type. So this is the number of step counts that I have. But even if you look at this, because it is captured by 2 different devices. So I have a smart weighing machine at home that kind of estimates the number of step count based on like the number of active energy that I spend every day. So it also syncs via Bluetooth to my phone and stuff like that. So you can see that for the first one, it is created by my iPhone. This is just the Japanese word for iPhone, which is why I named my iPhone. But this one has device, whereas the one that is captured by my smart weighing machine doesn't have device. So if I were to put this into a data schema and try to extract this, the column names that appear would not be the same. All right. So we have to find a way to kind of extract specific data from the whole long string of text, right? So the first thing we want to do is kind of filter what is considered data. So as I was going through the XML file, I realized that anything that starts with the record type is a data row, right? It is a very long string. So you look at here, this is record type, blah, 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 step count, and you have the value, the number of step counts for that specific time, right? So this entire string is one line, right? So this is considered a data. And what we want to do is just use a simple filter at the very first step. Just typing contains, which is a string comparison formula that takes the column and checks if this record type exists in that column, right? And just put a true at the back. So what this does, it would it would tag everything. Oh, sorry, it would filter everything that has the record type for that data, right? The next thing we want to do is extracting specific portion from the string, right? So one way to do this is actually using regular expression, but regular expression is not something that a lot of folks are very familiar with. But you can think of regular expression as a way of searching and capturing specific string within a longer string, right? So if I were to write this in a uh, uh, you know a verbose way of saying this, it would be this is the formula. So regular expression extract the column name. I want to start from record type and end at the first double quote. All right. So in this case, I'm telling the Tableau prep that I want to start from this portion, so record type, all the way until this one. So I want to stop here. This is what I'm going for. So this is a cheat sheet. You don't have to remember every single combination of regular expression. But generally, what we do is, or what is often used very frequently, is a dot sign, which replicates any character except for a break line. All right. So, but if you want to search for specific word or digit, there are also different permutations that you can use. All right. The other one that is often used is the quantifier, right? So the quantifier basically attaches itself to the character classes to determine how many characters you want to extract from that string, right? So if you put a dot and you put a star, it would extract 0 or more characters. So even if the string doesn't contain that value, it would still extract the entire portion, right? And there is also another one, which is the question mark, which forces a condition on the regular expression, so you can actually stop the searching, right? Flash Twins has a pretty cool regular expression tutorial, so you guys can actually check it out as well. I'll share the deck with Jenny later on, so she can send it out to everyone as well. Okay, so like I said, every regular expression requires a search group and a capture group. All right. So what I'm searching for is anything that starts from record type. So this is the string that I'm actually searching for. You will realize that there is a backslash over here. So this backslash is used to escape, or rather to tell the Tableau prep that I don't want to treat this as a system character, because when you're doing formulas, like let's say if something equals to something, you use a double quote to encase the comparison string that you want. But in this case, this is not a part of a formula. This is part of the string. So if you put a backslash on that, it tells the program that it is not part of a comparison string, right? It's part of the substring. So I'm trying to capture for anything between the double quotes. So what we do is, like I said earlier on, the dot sign represents any character, right? And the plus sign represents one or more characters, right? So what you want to do is just put a circular brackets. I'm not too sure what it's called. Is it circular brackets? Probably. Yeah. And what this does is that by logically, it should return HK category, blah, 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 till the Apple Stand Hour, right? This is what I'm going for. But the problem is I don't have a stopper at the back of my regular expression. So it goes all the way to the end. So this is the result that actually returns, right? But this is not exactly what I want, right? So now we have to modify this a little bit, right? So after the plus sign, I have to add a question mark. So a question mark injects a condition on the search group, on the capturing group. And what I want to do is I want to stop at the first double quote. So similarly, I have to have a backslash and the double quote to tell them that this is a string that I'm looking for, and just encase that behind around the circular brackets. So what this does now is that it would return anything after record type and the double quote, and extract everything till it reaches the first double quote. Right. So this is, hopefully I'm not going too fast and everyone is lost. Right. Right. So from here on, it's all about capturing the specific portions of the data. Right. So this is the record type, and then I did one for the source name. So it's a similar concept. So instead of having record type, I switch this to source name. It's basically whatever you want to search for in the whole string. So you can see that here I'm searching for the double quote, a space, source name, equal sign, and another double quote. All right. So what it does, it would set the index over just before L, right, and extract everything and stop at the first double quote. So this is what it would return. And basically from here is just about going through the different fields. So you have like source version, you have device, you have creation date, you have start date, you have end date, you have the values, right? So all this would be kind of put into Tableau Prep. I can open up Tableau Prep now to kind of show you guys what it's like. Okay, right. So like I said earlier on, the very first step of this is just about adding that filter, that condition, to filter anything that's considered data, right? So it's just about using contain the column name and setting it to true, right? The one thing you would also want to do to kind of help your data prep process is to sample the data, because the file that potentially Apple iWatch creates can be rather huge. For me, the file was about 1.7 gigabytes, right? So they have been collecting data on me for about like 7-8 years, right? So it's quite huge, and if you were to process that every single step of the way, chances are your Tableau Prep will crash, or you can't get anything past the first step, right? So what I will do is set the sample rows to like 10,000 or something, and when you run the output at the very end, you can remove that sampling, right? Then the next step is actually going through all the regex. So you can see that over here I have the expression to extract the record type, right? So it creates this column that has the health measure, right? And I created another one that has the source name. I created another one that has the source version, and go on and so forth till I reach the last one, right? And I have like all the pieces that I need for my data. right? Uh, and from here, a problem I realized, actually not really a problem, but what I realized from the data is that it has Boolean data as well. So you have things like this, where it tracks if I was idle or active for that hour, whether I stood for the hour. So these values are not numerical, so I can't do any aggregation on it. So what I did was that I just split them out, and then I didn't really use them because they had another measure that quantified the number of minutes that I stood in an hour. So that was a bit more useful to use. The other thing I found was that the the data was really granular. So you can see from here, the start date and the end date are potentially in minutes or seconds, right? So they track, for example, your active calories consumed every minute. So in a day, you have like 36,000 minutes, I think. And this lengthens the data set quite a bit. So what I've done from here as well is to truncate the date. So I took away the time element. So I took away to the month, because the data had not just minutes and seconds, but also days. So it was really large. So I wanted to do a aggregation by month. So a simple way would be just to do a truncation of the month, so that it returns the month and just aggregate it, right? So the good thing about Tableau Prep as well is once you're done with the entire thing, you can output this as a hypo file. So you don't have to do it in an Excel file, and Tableau can actually read the hypo file, right? So this is just purely on the Tableau site, the Tableau Prep site. Now, if we go back here, the next step I did was kind of exploring my data. But the problem I faced was that each of the metric have a different minimum and maximum. So, for example, my weight goes from like 60 to 80 kg, for example. But active calories go from like 0 to maybe 1,000, right? So I can't really compare apple to apple. So one trick I like to do is to normalize your values, right? So you can either do this in Tableau Prep, or you can do it in Tableau directly. And how you would do it is that you would divide your metric by a fixed LD function. So you take the maximum of that value and divide it by the value itself. So this gives you a value from 0 to 1, right? So it's basically 0 to 100%. And with that, you can actually do a dynamic parameter and calculated field. When it's that specific metric, then you return the normalized values. And from there, you can actually use this to kind of explore your data. So this is kind of what I did to explore the data that has different ranges, right? So with here, I can actually see exactly how the trend changes from over the years, right? So that's one way of doing it. And then the next step from there is actually once I've identified my story, I've used Figma to kind of create the entire layout and use the uh, tool from Tristan. So Tristan is one of the Tableau visionary, and he created a plugin in Figma that allows you to export whatever that you have built in Figma into Tableau directly. So it's a very nifty tool. I've been using it for my work and for my personal viz as well. And this is how it actually works. Where it's right. So this is the Figma piece, right? So from here, I can create things like custom logos, custom fonts, and what you need to take note from here is just making sure that each of the sheets have a prefix. So Tristan's tool requires a specific naming convention for the layers. So I could create all the charts within Tableau first and feed it back to the plugin. So as long as, for example, this worksheet is called chart weight, as long as this worksheet is named as such in Tableau, the plugin actually reads it, right, and puts it together. So you can see here, I have three charts. Chart goes move, chart goes exercise, and chart goes stand, right? So once all this is done, I basically turn on the plugin, which kind of looks something like this. I can show you. Right. Right. And you can select the entire frame, right? So if I select my, where is my, okay, I think I don't have it here. Maybe I'll use another one. So if you can select a existing workbook, and then it would tell you what are the worksheets inside that workbook, and you can just add it to the Figma file. And what this does is it would churn out a file that looks something like that with all your worksheets kind of populated here. So it's very easy to use, and very time saving, right? So that is kind of the whole process of how I did this visualization piece. Yeah. Does anyone have any question? I haven't had the time to look at the chat yet.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Lewis. That was so fascinating. Like I'd not really seen that Figma plugin or had time to like dabble in it myself. So that was like a cool little extra thing to be able to see there. Like I can imagine how much time that would save rather than adjusting all your padding like for every single chart in a desktop. So yeah, that's very cool. And the chat's been like really engaged throughout your presentation as well. So I'll let you kind of read through those as well. But like, yeah, people have been really enjoying it. I thought that breakdown of regex was really beneficial. I feel like that was really easy to follow. So yeah, I think that was really, really cool. So thanks very much for the presentation. If
Thank you
anyone
for
does
having
have any
me.
questions in the chat, just before we hand over to Zack, um, I'm sure that if there are any questions, Lewis will be happy to answer them in the chat as well if you don't get time. But yeah, again, yeah, just praise for your regex explanations there from the chat as well. So brilliant, cool. I will let you rest your voice again, Lewis. So brilliant. I'll hand over to you now, Zack, then, if you would like to share your screen.
Great. Thanks, Jenny. Excellent presentation, Lewis. Thank you so much for that. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, that's all showing up.
All right, great. I am Zack Cordeiro. I'm an analytics consultant with Interworks. We're a kind of Tableau-based consultancy. Um, I'm based in Portland, Oregon. It's also a little rainy and foggy out here, a bit like you, Jenny. Uh, and this is Tableau Prep Essentials. It's mostly a talk geared toward beginners of Tableau prep. So hopefully we have a few out there today. I'm sure a lot of you know the answers to these questions here, but on the agenda, we're going to take a look at like what Tableau prep is, why we would use Tableau prep, and then just a quick demo into some of its features. So starting off, what is Tableau prep? So um, if we think of it in terms of like how many of you guys are familiar with Tableau Desktop? So if Tableau Desktop is kind of our uh, paintbrush for making data stories and good visualizations, and the data sources that we have are our paint. Let's think of Tableau Prep as our what's that with the where you mix the paints? Gosh,
A palette, is that what
the
it's called?
palette. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. So Tableau Prep sits between your data sources and your data visualization tool. Prep is run locally, like Tableau Desktop, and connects to your data sources, which could be like a flat file, like a CSV, or an Excel file, or a database connection to a data source, or something hosted on your Tableau server environment. From there, you can run steps to clean, join, union your data, and at the end, you'll have a data source that you can connect to Tableau Desktop. Your outputs can be in the form of a TDE, like a Tableau data extract file, a hyperfile, like Lewis was talking about, or a CSV as well. You can then save that extract locally, or you can publish it to Tableau server, or you can have others on your team connect to your data as well. Uh, the connection to from prep to desktop is a one-way connection. Once you connect your prep output to desktop, you can't edit it in desktop and then write it back. In order to update your data source, you'll have to edit and rerun your Tableau prep flow. You can rerun your prep flow manually or publish it to Tableau server and then schedule it to run, at certain increments. What issues are we solving for with Tableau prep? So we can use Tableau prep for a variety of issues. Maybe there's something wrong with your data and you want to do some exploration to see where some of, your issues are coming from. Maybe your data needs to be pivoted or aggregated to a certain level before going into Tableau Desktop. You can do these steps in Tableau Desktop, but occasionally when working with large data sets or particularly complex calculations, calculating all of those values in Tableau can affect the performance of your dashboard. Uh, we always want our end users to have a good experience, and if your dashboard is running, 15 to 20 seconds, even longer load times because of your calculations or the way your data is structured, it might affect how often those users want to view the reports that you're putting out. Um, Tableau Prep can help with that and do the heavy lifting before you load your data into Tableau Prep, leading to decreased load times for you and your users. So how does Tableau like its data? I'm sure a lot of you have had to deal with messy data. So Tableau can be finicky and likes its data in a certain way. Um, Here we have an example. Uh, can build a visualization with data like this, but you'll have to kind of, these are all separate columns here with your data. Tableau likes it just a certain different way. Um, Here's another very common way that people structure their data in Excel. They'll have kind of two different headers there, um, showing data this way. Tableau does not exactly like the data this way either. Um, that's not to say Tableau can't make visualizations with this data, but might require some extra steps to visualize it exactly the way that we want it to be. Um, I'm sure a lot of you guys have connected to your data and felt like this, right? Like, oh my God, this data is so dirty. How am I going to visualize this? There's several ways we can transform our data for visualization. We do it within Tableau Desktop with joins, pivots, calculations, even some custom SQL. But all of these options have the possibility to affect our dashboard performance in a negative way. Everything we can do in Tableau Desktop for data prep, we can do in Tableau Prep without affecting the performance of our dashboard. You can also, just directly edit your data in Excel or other data prep tools. But who wants to painstakingly edit your data directly in Excel, manually? Not me. Uh, so why would we use Prep? It has a really quick drag and drop interface, very user friendly. Users are able to add documentation at each step of the way. Each clean, each join. You can explain why you're doing what you're doing. It's also a bit easier to train a user to do data prep in Tableau prep, especially if they're familiar with Tableau desktop, rather than training them in SQL or something else like that. Um, Prep flows are also repeatable and can be automated to run very consistently. There's no need to manually edit Excel files every month. Um, and you get insight into your data and snapshots at every single cleaning step that you have there. Here, I'm just going to quickly switch over here. I'm just going to walk through an example prep flow. Let me just make sure I have my mouse here. Just going to walk through an example prep flow that what prep gives us to take a look at here. But here's you'll be looking at when you first boot up Tableau prep, right? You'll have on the left, a lot like Tableau prep, you'll have your connections where you can connect to a server, a file, a flat file, a CSV. This will open up just the Superstore sample. Please excuse me, sorry. I just gotta fix something on this other screen. Please bear with me. All right. So as we can see, we have our connections on the left. We have a couple text files, CSVs, and we have a couple Excel files. Um, so our connections here, we have, orders for south, east, west, and central. We have some return data here. Um, but how are we going to get that into, an output where it's all combined here and cleaned? Um, so when we take a look in here and click into each connection, we can, just get a quick summary of our data and kind of what it looks like there. In Tableau Prep, and something that's unique to it as opposed to Tableau Desktop is we can remove fields there. Um, so you can click to remove a field. In Tableau Desktop, you can hide a field or filter it out at your data source level, but that will just hide it necessarily. It won't really remove it when you're first loading it in. Um, we also have these tabs here. You can see kind of a sample of your data there, and also a list of the changes that you've made just right there. Say I actually removed that and I didn't necessarily want to remove that. um, you can click this X and have that change there. Also, if you make a change, it'll show up there on the step that you have. All right, moving on here. Tableau Prep gives us a really nice snapshot of our data here. We can see all of our columns here. Uh, and also a really handy step is this kind of like filtering here. So you can click and you'll see how much data, these little blue bars there are in each of these. So like, let's only look at, you know, Aaron's data here. You can see little blue bars there to filter. Yeah. Uh, if we look at the changes that were made here, went ahead and removed the null order IDs. Um, you do have to be careful though. Sometimes, especially with survey data, when you're removing nulls, sometimes it just means, it was just forgotten to being, inputted. So that's this step here is nice where you can click on, the nulls that we have just to see exactly what kind of data we have there. All right. So we have a lot of different clean steps, just click on this, add a clean step. Um, and it allows you to view your data, you know, change your data types here. So here we're taking a look at, changing it from an integer to a string type. Um, yeah, a lot of different ways that you can, change your data. We also have these icons here that are very specific to the steps that you're taking to edit your data or clean your data. Uh, here is a union step. So if you go out, click on that, and union, we can have this. If you are familiar with Tableau Desktop, you probably are familiar with the union. We're basically stacking these tables all on top of each other, and you can see the various inputs for how we get this union here. Was also really nice that has saved me a few times is this recommendations tab. Tableau Prep will give you recommendations to how you might want to change some data types or make a calculation to change something. I just recently had an instance where I had to join on a name field, and it was last first to a first and last, so it was comma separated. It was something like Bergman, comma Aaron. So I added a step on one of my tables to kind of split that out. But what I didn't, and I tried to join it, what I didn't realize is that I left a space at the beginning. Tableau recognized that and gave me a recommendation and said, "Hey, you have a space here. Let's add a step to remove that space." Um, After that, it worked. So very very useful for those type of things. Um, so we have our unioned kind of order data there. We can also join some of this return data. We have our clean step here. We've done a few things to clean it up. Um, so yeah, you can add a join step there and then show which fields you'd like to join on. Another great thing about Tableau Prep is you can just show the mismatch fields that you have there. Um, Makes it very, very easy to see exactly what's going on with your data with all of these little tools. You also get a summary of your join result and to see how many rows exactly that you have coming through. Very useful there. Something that you don't get with Tableau Desktop. You can also define the exact type of join. A left join, all from the left table. A right join, full join. Something that's unique to Tableau Prep as opposed to Tableau Desktop. You can also do a non-inner join that you wanted to only see the non-matching values and get those in. Pretty unique use case, but regardless. You can also aggregate your data. Say, one team needs this data a certain way, another team needs it aggregated. You can then kind of roll it up to, the region level and the year level. I think I messed up my join here. Excuse me. Uh, but yeah, and then you can output once you've aggregated that, you can output it to either a CSV, an Excel file, or a hyperfile. You can also publish it to Tableau Server, where you can just kind of schedule these flows to be run. I'm going to quickly go into just build out a prep flow for you here. So you can either left click drag or you can double click to get some of your data into this pane there. I'm just going to double click on this. Um, let's just take a look at this data and see what we have here. So we have, employee, month, and sales. Let's just add a clean step here just to take a look at what our data is looking like here. So we have that there. Let's add this bonus table as well. So we have our employee and our field names there like that. Uh, Hold on, let me just make sure this is coming through correctly. There we go. We need to add the data interpreter to get this to come through correctly. All right. But as we can see, our data here is not in a way that we exactly want it. It's kind of like the examples that we showed before, where it's showing, the columns not exactly the way that Tableau likes it. Um, so what we're going to do is add a pivot step and pivot our data you can either, double click these or control click and drag them into this pane here. And it will then pivot those fields. Um, let's name this, date, and we'll name this bonus. All right. That's our bonus value. That's our employee, and that's our date field. So now our table there has been pivoted. We can now add a join step to join some of this sales data to this bonus data. We could just drag it. Love Tableau Prep for this. It's just a very easy drag and drop, easy to understand tool. So we can join by employee, and it should come through there. We have our bonus, our pivoted bonus data, and our sales data all there. What Tableau Prep does occasionally here is it kind of duplicates your field because you have different tables joined together here. What you can do here is just remove that duplicate field since the values are pretty much the same, um, and then output your data to either a CSV or publish it. That is pretty much the end of that presentation. Um, I also have few use cases here for Tableau Prep. I'd be happy to share this slide deck with Jane. She can share it with you. Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Cool, brilliant. Thank you so much for talking through that, Zach. Like
Mhm.
you say, there are definitely new users here, as well as more experienced ones. So I'm sure that was like super helpful. And some of the questions that were being asked throughout were kind of picked up by other members during. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating. But if you have any other questions that haven't yet been answered, then please do feel free to drop them there for Zach. But mainly it seems like you're getting praise for a great presentation. I saw Caitlin there did ask if prep worked with SAP. Is that something that you know, Zach?
I'm not actually
SAP, sorry.
familiar. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I did look that up whilst you were talking, and yeah, it can connect to SAP and it can write out as well to SAP HANA. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it as SAP HANA or if I have to say SAP HA. Probably not.
Mm.
But yeah, there you go, Caitlin. Are there any other questions? Um, other than does anything work with SAP? I don't think so at the moment, but no, thank you very much for coming along, Zach, and breaking that down into nice and easy to understand concepts. So yeah, and I'll definitely get the both those slide decks from Zach and from Lewis shared tomorrow with all the attendees, so that you can find all those links that were shared by both the presenters there too. Awesome. So I think that we can wrap everything up then. Thank you very much for attending today. Really enjoyable session, and we will get that recording also uploaded tomorrow as well. So I know that some people are keen to look through the regex side of things again, watch that viewer through more time, watch that another time to pick up all of Lewis's tips. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever time day it is for you.